was walking home from work today and I realised it was still light and I should probably therefore film something because I film in natural light. And then I realised that the reason it was light when I was walking home is because I was going home early because I felt really ill. Partly because a colleague is ill, but also partly because I'm completely burning myself out. So while I probably should be filming my October TBR, not going to do that. And I thought instead, because I don't want to waste the light, and I don't want to waste an evening, but I do want to put out content, I thought we'd do a little self-care, and this will be a nice, easy breezy, chatty, not too much editing video, because you guys didn't seem to mind that in my Lumicrate unboxing, and I thought it would be nice to go on with that again today. So, I went into Hobbycraft, which is a most dangerous shop for me to go into, but I went in anyway on Tuesday, and I purchased this because their Halloween stuff is out. This is a teeny tiny balsa wood, I don't know anything about wood, coffin, and it opens up, and what's this inside? Oh, that's right. It lights up all the colours of the gay. Anyway, I'll turn that off. I wanted to put this on my background for October, which is partly why I didn't want to film my October TBR, because I wanted to have my background done for then. And then I was like, well, it's nice, and like, it's lovely the way that it is, but, you know, it's a bit bright. I'd like it to be darker, and I think it would be a fun self-care activity to paint it and have a little chat. So I'm gonna paint it. I don't want anyone to come for me with the materials I'm using. I'm just gonna use acrylic paint because that's what we have. And I'm not gonna sand this. I'm not gonna do anything to it. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna have a happy self-care time painting it this indigo colour, because I got the indigo paint out and the black paint, and I figure I'm gonna paint it this indigo colour, and if I hate that, I can paint over it with black. Seems a bit fun. So, without further ado, welcome to Self-Care Time with Judith, where we paint happy Halloween items and chat about what's going on. Because, like, there is stuff going on. I'm getting paint. It's not going to go all over the floor. You know, I'm going to do the front first. Yeah, why not? No going back now. Yeah, there is a lot going on, and that's partly why I've not had the time to put out the content that I wish I could be putting out, because when I started this YouTube channel, booktube channel, whatever, it was mostly because I wanted to start putting my face on the internet more. And also because the reasons I wasn't doing it were all stupid. Like, oh, but I'm more overweight than the tiny skinny booktube girls, and that's not going to work. And then I was like, rubbish that noise. Do what you want. And so, yeah, I started the channel, and I also, like, I was such a... I can't paint and talk at the same time, apparently. This is going to be an interesting video. Yeah, I really need a creative outlet, and I'd wanted to do something like this for a long time, and I toyed with the idea of a podcast, but I think that was mostly me being scared about the face aspect of things and having to wash my hair, which clearly we've given up on. And yeah, so I started it, and I was really, really keen, and it wasn't that the keen went away. Like, it wasn't that kind of thing where you start a big project, you underestimate the amount of time it will take, and then you're like, oh, I can't be bothered anymore, I don't care about it anymore. I care about it a significant amount. I love video editing, I love filming, I love talking, I love books, I love all of that stuff. None of that's gone away, and it's not that I underestimated how much time it would take. I think what I actually underestimated was how busy I am in the months of August through October. So I work in marketing for a small publisher here in Oxford, and June through to October, event season and exhibition, that's the word I'm looking for, season is upon us, and it's a very busy time for me because I kind of am the marketing officer for my company, so it's a lot of work, and also I've got a new job coming up. I'm seconding for some maternity cover, so like that's been very stressful and busy, and it's not been that the drive to film hasn't been there, it's been that the time I have been in the house when the light has been sufficient to film has been very slim. Which kind of brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which was Animorphs 5, which I'm very excited to bring out. And I really, really wanted to film it yesterday, and I did film it yesterday, and I've just uploaded the footage to my laptop, and it's so dark. I filmed it at, like, probably about an hour from now, probably about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and it was light enough when I started, but the sun goes down so quickly There's just not really anything you can do. And the only solution I have is to film on the weekends. And that's fine. And I don't mind filming on the weekends. And I can bulk film, and that's absolutely fine because I don't care. But I also haven't been at home on the weekends yet this month. Or, yeah, I just haven't had the time. So, yes. After October, my schedule is much easier, and hopefully I'll be able to put more content out. I've got some exciting stuff I've got in my head. It's all in my head, and it's bringing it. Yes, I did just squirt paint on top of this. It's all in my head, and I just need to take the time to bring it into the real world. So I'm doing NaNoWriMo this year, which I'm really excited about. I've got the outline for my book I finished as part of a different project I was doing. So I'm not going in blind anymore. This is the book that I started to write. When would it have been? February time? Maybe March? And then kind of shelved for a bit because I was so busy. And then, Nano was coming up again. I thought, well, I'll actually properly prepare for this time. So I have an outline. I have quite a lot of it written. And so, it's exciting. It's my, what I call murder book on Twitter. It's going to be really, really fun to write. Going around hinges. It's a delicate process. So I'm going to hopefully put some videos out about that. I'm thinking maybe doing at least one in October that's like NaNoWriMo prep based, and what I'm doing to get ready for NaNoWriMo, and taking you through my planning notebook and stuff, because I'm me, so I have a lot of notebooks. And then I also thought to do either writing vlogs, check-ins, updates, something like that in November itself, just because it's fun to talk about what you're writing, and I feel like it'll be a good accountability thing for me. I have got friends doing Nano this year. Justine over at I Should Read That is planning on doing Nanos. That should be nice to do that with her. But yeah, I want to share that on this channel as well. So yes, it's not for lack of wanting to be here and producing amazing content, and it's just the lack of time to produce the content to the quality that I want to produce it. Much like this little coffin, if I had a billion hours, I would probably sand it and, actually do things properly. But also, I can sit here in front of you, talk and paint it cut somewhat slapdash, and that's fine, as long as it makes me happy. So maybe I need to drop my standards a little. Maybe that's what it needs to be. Maybe every Animorphs video doesn't have to have little graphics in it. I could just... Ooh, that was me clipping the clutch. Clipping the clutch? You know what I meant. But also, I think there's finding the balance between putting out content because putting out content brings you joy, and putting out content that is high quality because creating something high quality brings you joy. And maybe you can do both. Like the Illumicrate unboxing was in some ways a real eye-opener for me, because I filmed it, I cut out maybe like 2 bits where I waffled about something that I didn't need to waffle about for a bit, and then basically clicked upload. It wasn't, a quality piece of video editing by any means. And people really seemed to like it because it was just me being me and reacting to getting blankets. Did I just get paint on the floor? No, it went on my leg. It's fine. It was just me being me and reacting to stuff, and that kind of content is fine. And you might all hate watching me paint this tiny coffin, but I'm happy making it, and I'm happy having a chat. And that's, kind of what it's about. I'm like about to get to a phase where I can no longer hold this, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. Oh well, never mind. Yeah, what else has been going on with me that I'd like to share? I talked about the new job. That's very exciting. That's going to be some project management stuff. That'll be fun. That starts at the end of the year. I've been reading a lot. I'll have my September wrap-up at some point soon. I've stalled on a couple of the big kind of last things on the TBR, which is pretty typical for me. But then what I've got left is kind of, I think, at least 1 reread, maybe 2. And they tend to be quite quick to get through. So I'm hoping I'll complete it. I think I'll get to 20 books. I don't know whether they'll be the 20 books I initially planned to read in my TBR video, which is fine. It doesn't affect you. Like, it just affects me, and it doesn't even affect me that much. I don't know why I put these stupid standards on myself. Anyway, we're not here to get miserable. But yeah, I've been reading some really good stuff. The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, that was amazing. Again, that'll be in my wrap-up. Dark Dawn came out this month. I got to read Dark Dawn. Like, Nevernight was one of the first books I read when I started reading again. and part of that was starting the blog, but it was really about me getting back to reading after university, and Nevernight was a big one of those. So to get to the end of the trilogy is really kind of coming full circle, I suppose, and it's really nice to look back on the last 3 years and say, like, yeah, I did a lot of reading, and I talked about a lot of books, and there's authors who are coming out with, you know, who were debut authors when I started blogging, who are now coming out with their next books, and it's just lovely to be a part of that community and be supporting authors and supporting the things that I love in a really tangible way. Yeah, it's nice. Other news. I came out this year. That was very exciting. For those who don't know, I'm bisexual, and I'm married to a wonderful trans woman, and we kind of came out together almost this year. I mean, hers was probably a somewhat bigger thing than mine. Mine was kind of tangentially related to her coming out, because we had to say, like, yes, we're staying married. It kind of worked out well for us because Judith. But yeah, that's kind of been one of the big emotional weights that we've been carrying lately, because fun fact for all you non-having to come out people in the world, that you probably already know by now, but you do not come out once, you come out all the time. I thought I was done with work, and then I discovered that somebody did not know, and I had to tell them very quickly today, so that was fun. But yeah, it's heavy stuff. It's so much better being honest with people, and the amount of good things that came out of this, and we were very privileged in that our families were really lovely about it for the most part. It's been a really good experience, and I don't want to tarnish that good experience, but it is a lot to weigh on you, and you have to, despite being the person going through quite a vulnerable thing, you as the person coming out, and I mean me and my wife in some different ways, you have to bear a lot of the emotion for the people you're telling, which is odd, because you feel like you've said, like, I have this big thing going on in my life and I was really terrified you'd disown me, and then you're like, but let me support you. You know, it's an interesting position to be in, and not one I thought I would be in 2 years ago. But yeah, it's our second wedding anniversary on the 30th, so very, very soon. Because we got married at the end of the month, so we would absolutely remember when it was. But that's really nice. We're going to do something nice, which is another reason I'm not free on another weekend, but for very nice reasons. But enough about being gay. Or bi, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I struggle so much with labels. But enough about that. Who's excited for October? I'm really excited. In case this wasn't obvious enough, I was not allowed to do Halloween as a child. I say not allowed, that makes it sound like it was really strict. It was just not a thing that we did at my house. And then I kind of got to university. Well, I got to secondary school for one part, but then I got to university and it was like, Halloween can be a thing? Yes. And I kind of went ham, and now it's my favourite time of year, just because I'm just a spooky person. I like... Not horror, that's the thing. It's not horror at all. I don't like being scared, but I like that kind of witchy pumpkin, autumnal, winter's here kind of time of year, and also the kind of all the connotations that come with that. It's all about, well, it's not all about, but there's all the stuff like with harvest in there, and the new, you know, the end of something and the beginning of something else. It's like a powerful part of our kind of timeline. And, you know, if I can celebrate that by listening to spooky, scary skeletons and having a rainbow light up coffin, then I don't really mind, you know. I've nearly done the front now. I think I might do another coat because it's looking a little bit janky. But that means you just get to talk to me for even longer. It's been 15 minutes. What else can we talk about? Let's think. Other things I'd quite like to do. What else is like on my when I work from home and can maybe film on my lunch breaks list? I think I'd like to do more stuff around writing, because I'd like to write more, and I think that would be a good motivator. I'd like to do more dedicated book reviews, so doing a whole video about a book, especially if it's either a book that I hate or a book that I really like, Or like even more funny books. Like, have you ever read The Starlight Barking? It's the sequel to 101 Dalmatians where they talk to space. No? Let me tell you about it. Like, that's what I want to do. And I don't know how to do that without scripting it. And things that are scripted take more editing. That's why Animorphs takes a lot more editing, because when you have a script, you have to read it, then try and say the line right. Whereas when I'm just talking to you, I can put in ums and ers, and it doesn't feel as weird because I'm just talking to you naturally. I don't know. There's something there. So yeah, I'd love to film more kind of that kind of content. If I can, I'd love to do more stuff with music. I'm a very musical person. I have written songs. A lot of them were teenage angst and were just terrible. But I think I'd like to do more of that, and I'd like to put more of that on the internet. I talked about on Twitter maybe doing a video doing writing melodies for some of the songs in the Bone Ships, which would be really cool because they're kind of like sea shanty, rowing. That's the word I'm looking for. Rowing songs, and I think that would be really cool. But at the moment, she don't have the light. We're getting there. Maybe I do the back now. Will the front stick if I do the back? Probably. Who cares? It's self-care. I can get messy. Well, I've just got paint on my face. We're fine. Tell you what, I'm gonna paint the back, come up with a new topic, and then we'll be back. Okay, the back is painted. I can concentrate again now. I'm gonna leave it on the floor to dry and touch up bits as I go. Let's talk about craft, because, you know, fun. Craft is my ultimate self-care. I love to doodle. Doodling is like I have nothing else I can do, I will doodle now. I'm not by any means good at it. Good at doodling, good at drawing, you know what I mean. So doodling's like my go-to. And then I also I've recently taken up knitting, or taken up knitting in a more serious way. So I started by making a jumper, which is not the best project to start with, but it was really good for me because it was like a full, like, I can do this from start to finish, and I ended up with a garment that I could wear. I couldn't wear it outside or near anyone else, but I could wear it. Like, it went onto a body that had one arm longer than the other, but we won't talk about that too much. But yeah, so then after that I went on and I was like, okay, let's do a blanket, because if I mess up a blanket, then I can still wear it, it'll still be warm. And then immediately got the Illumicrate blanket, so now I have even more blankets. So yeah, the blanket's a very slow process, but I'm surprised more people don't talk about knitting. It's so therapeutic, it's such a great hobby, and broadly speaking, it's like 2 stitches to make cool patterns. Like, obviously there's multiple different things you can do, but if you can read a pattern, and there's so many websites that will help you decipher knitting pattern terminology, which is like a whole other language in itself, but if you can get that far, then you're pretty much set. Like, I'm doing this blanket and the pattern's emerging. I've messed it up like 3 times, but at this point I'm like, well, I've got to do the pattern again, so might as well just see what we get. And it's really fun, it's really relaxing, but like little crafty bits like painting this are my jam. I love doing them, and I don't get the time to do them enough. So maybe that's another thing. Maybe we'll do more of these, like Judith does small Halloween craft while talking at her camera for a bit. So yes, tell me your favourite crafts in the comments below. I want to know. I follow someone on Instagram who does the most cool bookish embroidery. If I can be bothered, like, realistically, I could say if I remember, but I mean if I can be bothered, I will find her and link her, and you should follow her stories because she does really cool bookish embroidery. But yeah, tell me your favourite craft and if you make it bookish. And if you don't, that's fine too. We're allowed to have other hobbies. If your entire personality were books, that would be really boring. Okay, right. I am now just putting paint on top of paint and dragging paint around. So I'm going to put this I say to one side. I'm going to leave this where it is. Maybe it can go up on its... No, every single side is wet because I do not care. I'm going to leave that where it is and come back in like 20 minutes after I've eaten some pasta. Or maybe even with some pasta. We'll see. And finish this off and then call this video a day because you've sat through, like, what, 20 minutes of me talking about nonsense. Okay, I'm back. Pasta has been consumed. YouTube has been watched. As you can tell, I'm still painting, but I think this is a finish tomorrow kind of a project. Excuse me, I'm poorly. So we shall see how this goes. I don't think I have anything else I want to talk to you about, and self-care for me right now is going to be continuing to paint this with some YouTube on in the background, and it's going to be really nice. Maybe I will post the finished product on Instagram, but probably not. So stay tuned for my next video, where this will hopefully appear in the background. Thank you so much for indulging me in my little self-care time. It's been very wholesome and nice for me, and I hope it's given you some insight into what my brain does sometimes. And if you want to, if you enjoy this calm, peaceful content, then let me know in the comments below. And if you hate it, then keep that to yourself, because it's my business, not your business. In the meantime, if you want to support me on this self-care journey, but also books, but also animals, but also all the other things that I've said I want to create, you can support me and make me know that people care by subscribing, by liking, by sharing this, and by following me on my socials, which I will put up on the screen, probably here, because that's where there's a gap. Have a great week. I hope you do some self-care for yourself, as opposed to self-care for other people. I'm gonna go. See you in the next one.